I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Thursday, November the 5th, 2015. A terror attack was prevented today in the West Bank. A Palestinian tried to stab IDF soldiers at a crowded bus stop at the Gush Etzion Junction this afternoon. He was shot and reportedly killed by Israeli security forces. The terrorist was named by Palestinian media as 25-year-old Malik Talal Sharif from Hebron. There were no Israeli injuries. Israeli military presence in the junction has doubled following the wave of knife attacks on Israelis there. And the 20-year-old border police officer who was critically wounded during a car ramming attack yesterday near Hebron remains in critical condition at Hadassah Hospital in Jerusalem with serious head, among other injuries. Doctors are fighting to save his life. The body of the Palestinian driver who ran down the soldier was returned to the Palestinians last night. The subject of returning terrorist bodies is a controversial one in Israel, as Israel has stated that it would only return terrorist bodies on the condition that the Palestinians do not organize mass funerals for them, which often are violent and lead to further incitement. And the families of slain IDF soldiers Hadar Golden and Oron Shaul, whose remains are being held in Gaza, also have come out strongly against returning the bodies of terrorists, saying at the very least they should not be given back until the bodies of their sons are returned as well. Meanwhile, Palestinian permanent observer to the United Nations, Riyad Mansour, submitted a complaint against Israel yesterday, accusing Israel of returning the terrorist bodies with organs missing. Israel's new ambassador to the UN, Dani Danon, condemned the remarks. In a letter to the UN Secretary General, Danon said that the Palestinian representative's anti-Semitic face has been revealed and that the allegation was a, quote, blood libel, urging the UN to condemn the inflammatory statements and remove anti-Semitism from the hallways of the United Nations. The Times of Israel reports that the Israel Hotel Association held a conference on Monday in Nazareth in Israel's north, a city whose tourism industry has been affected by the recent terror wave. The conference called for coexistence between Israeli Jews and Arabs. Jewish and Arab mayors took part in the event, including the mayor of the Arab town of Kfar Kana, Mujahid Awada, whose town attracts thousands of Christian pilgrims every year. Awada told the conference that he was born in 1948 with the establishment of the State of Israel. He said, "I studied and lived with Jews. This is our joint fate, and this is true coexistence." Awada said, "I want this message to go out to the country, to the entire Middle East and the world. It is possible and necessary for Jews and Arabs to live together." The World Jewish Congress and the Israeli Consulate of New York welcomed delegates from the Israeli Druze Alliance this week at the WJC's headquarters in New York City. The meeting highlighted the integral role that Druze citizens play within Israeli society. The 7 Druze delegates serve in leadership roles in the IDF, the police, media, and the medical field in Israel. They were represented at the meeting and are currently touring the U.S. in order to help promote understanding of the vital place the Druze serve in Israeli society. The Jewish Religious Equality Coalition, or JREC, will visit Israel next week and meet with officials and members of Knesset. JREC is led by the American Jewish Committee. It is made up of American Jews and Israelis committed to seeing full religious equality in Israel and for creating alternatives to the country's chief rabbinate, who has a monopoly on issues like conversion and marriage in the country. AJC Executive Director of Contemporary Jewish Life, Stephen Boehm, said American Jews were very concerned about the influence of the chief rabbinate. Boehm said fundamental questions of Jewish identity and peoplehood transcend geographical borders and cannot be considered solely an internal Israeli matter. JREC Chair Dov Zakheim said the trip next week was aimed at publicizing American Jewry's unhappiness with how personal status issues are dealt with in Israel. He said these issues must be resolved quickly so as not to alienate the American Jewish community at a time when Israel needs the support of our community more than ever. And taking a look now at our programming on JBS tonight, Thursday, November the 5th. At 8 o'clock, the peace process is debated and discussed at the 2015 AJC Global Forum. At 9, a classic edition of L'Chaim, as Mark Golub sits down with the late controversial Jewish leader Rabbi Meir Kahane, who was murdered 25 years ago today. That's followed at 9:30 with Voices of Israel featuring Israeli politician Moshe Feiglin. And coming up right after this newscast tonight, In the News with Mark Golub. And that's the JBS News Update for Thursday, November the 5th, 2015. I'm Teisha Bader.